hour to talk heartbreaking loss in Baltimore, what's coming up this weekend in LA. We got our guest Ali in the house, and we got the lightning round. So it's gonna be a fun show, people. Be sure to stick around.
Welcome to Vikings Happy Hour, where we mix our favorite beverage and talk of your Minnesota Vikings.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Vikings Happy Hour. I'm your host, Matt Anderson. We got my co-host, Ryan Ortega, here tonight, producer Dave, and a very special guest, a long time coming, Ali. How you doing here tonight, buddy?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me, you guys. Always enjoy the show.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. It's fun to have you on because you light up the chat a lot when you're watching the show. So now you're here and you get to provide all that content just on the show. So
Mhm.
I'm eager to see your participation in this podcast tonight.
Mhm. Yeah, thanks a lot. Looking forward to it.
Yes, Ryan, how are you doing? I saw your tweet go out moments before this. A Japanese whiskey for you tonight, huh?
Yeah, I was you're gonna make fun of me for this, but I was listening to that Drink Champs interview with Kanye,
Mm.
and one of his drinks of choice that night was Japanese whiskey. I don't know what kind, and I was at Sam's Club just reloading up on some liquor, and noticed that they had this gem of you can't really see it because of the. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Suntory whiskey, Toki. I don't know. I've had it once before and I really enjoyed it. And it just reminded me how much I enjoyed it. So picked it up and so I'm drinking tonight.
Well, very cool. Let me know how it tastes.
It's delicious. You should try
Oh,
it.
all right, fair enough. Dave, how are you this evening? Last time I saw you, the Vikings were heading into overtime, and then I had to kind of book it, and well, we know what happens then.
Yes, we do. And no, actually, I'm doing very good. Um, been running behind today. I completed an art piece. I've been on a quest.
Oh,
Not only do I do football art, I do regular art, mostly abstract.
okay.
And I've been trying to mimic or create very close to cubism, a real representation of it, not just throw it in a dream program and have it do it. And I got real close and very Picasso like, and it turned out great. So I'm
Ah,
happy.
well, I mean, you are the producer of this show, but if you didn't know, you are always welcome to share. I know you share a lot of your artwork, but if you're willing and you want, we can carve out a quick little segment for you each week to show some artwork, and let people see it that are watching the show. Because if you haven't seen Dave's artwork before, football or not, it's pretty great stuff. And
Well, I can show
I
it to you. It's real simple.
yeah,
Here.
bring it up. Let's see it. I'm sorry for people who are listening on the podcast when this goes out. You won't be able to see it. You'll have to go back to YouTube. But oh, that's cool.
But
It's awesome.
it's a portrait done in very much a
Very
cubist
cool.
style, and I've been trying to nail the format, and it's hard. You can't do it digitally. It's more relatable or easier to do via paint or drawing, and I'm doing it trying to emulate it digitally, and I'm getting closer and closer. So it makes me happy,
Uh, yeah,
and
and for those listening or watching, I feel like I'm not speaking out of turn here by saying that Dave's artwork is available for purchase if you reach out to him. So I'm going to reach out to him eventually.
why I wish it would sell for that. Oh yes, I do.
Oh man. Well, like I said in the intro before the roll in, we do have a packed show today. We got a lot to get through, so I'm going to do my best to keep us on track and finish by that 9 o'clock time frame. Lord knows we'll probably push it a little bit, but let's try it. So we introduced Ali. We talked about Ryan's Japanese whiskey. So let's just go right back where we don't want to go, but it's revisiting that loss. We're at a weird time in the week on Wednesday nights because we can either choose to ignore what happened the week before and just look forward, or we can talk a lot about what went on the week before and not really look forward. So tonight we get the best of both worlds. Ali, what was your takeaway from Sunday's heartbreaking loss? I call it heartbreaking only because I feel like we should have won it again.
They played better than I expected. I expected them to lose by 14 points. I mean, yeah, but still disappointing loss. I mean, it was a game they should have won. I mean, again, unfortunately, we can say that about every other game they've lost. They should have won them or at least come very close. It didn't happen, unfortunately.
I got a question for you. Are you a moral victory kind of person? I know there's some people within climbing the pocket that are not. I kind of lean on the side of moral victories a little bit. I do think there's some weight in them. Do you think that the Vikings, can take some pride in the fact that like they haven't really gotten blown out? They've been in every single game this season.
I honestly, if this was a rebuilding year, I would have. But I mean, unfortunately, before the season started, I had high hopes for this team. I thought, I mean, I know it's kind of a homer pick, but I had them being 12-5. Perhaps I thought they had a chance to go deep. But, it's unfortunately it's not looking like that. But yeah, if this was a rebuilding year, which I think next year could be, but yeah, if this was a rebuilding year, then yeah, I would have been like, oh, hey, at least they're not being blown out, and we're getting some positives from the rookies, which
Sorry, I was on mute there. Yeah, I 100% agree, and um, I will say 12-5 still possible. So don't let that dream die quite yet. Everson Griffin said it a couple weeks ago. If you win 10 in a row, you're whatever record he said. But yes, 12-5 is still technically a possibility. Um, Ryan, you are not a moral victory guy. Uh,
Absolutely not. Nope. Nope. Not.
uh, and I think that
I
probably
think I
comes.
think I think Jay-Z once said moral victories are
Oh
for
boy.
minor league coaches. Moral victories are for minor league coaches. Something about Kanye I already told you where we major you cockroaches, something like that. So yeah, no, I'm not a moral victory guy, especially for a team like this. Like Ali had said, going back to the Lions game, I had said if I'm the Lions, I'm feeling great about that game, even though they lost because they're
Yeah.
rebuilding and they are competing against the Ravens, the Vikings, and the Niners. I think they were one score from them. But so you can take those moral victories and something to build upon. We were built to win. We were built to go deep into the playoffs. We were built for a championship, and we can't take moral victories from losing when you're built for that. Again,
Yeah.
like Ali said, if we were rebuilding, I'm still not a moral victory guy. I guess it's more of like a learning opportunity. But we've already had too many learning opportunities of having a 7, 14, 17-point lead, whatever it is, and crap in the bed in the second half. And that's exactly what happened here. Minus the kickoff return for a touchdown, which is fluky, right? I mean, it's not common that happens.
Yeah.
Um, we put up 7 points in the second half. Outside of that, so yeah, it's sad to see when you have um, the talent we do on offense, and the mixture of play calling, the mixture of aggressiveness from your quarterback, and just execution. I mean, it's not all the coaching and Kirk's fault. I mean, we're having drop passes, we're having missed assignments, missed blocks, hitting the wrong hole. I don't know what we're doing playing Alexander Madison. I mean, I know everyone thinks he can be a starter on like 90% of the league. He can't. He's fine in a spot start, but I mean, when you're giving him the ball right now, he's doing nothing with it. You're better off trying your luck with Kene. I can't say his last name. Nwangwu. Is that? Yeah, I think
Yep.
that's right. Right.
Something like that.
You're better off handing him the ball and just seeing if he can do something with it with that speed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm a little frustrated with the way that game played out. I wasn't watching it specifically like all game. My son's birthday party was on Sunday, so I'm kind of navigating watching these kids do this bubble soccer thing, and watching the game on my phone. And I rewatched the game today, and it was even more disappointing today than it was listening to and watching it live, because you can just see all of these mistakes happen that were so avoidable, or all of it's just frustrating. I'm frustrated. So
um, want to call out a comment in the chat here, but also highlight some people that joined us this evening. Mary, Wayne Wynn, Anthony. Somebody's just named "How dare you?" Joseph's here, and then our buddy Miles put in a comment there. At some point, you actually have to beat good teams rather than continue to say you're just glad that you were close. Which I definitely agree with that statement. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like they can hang their hat on this last game, and I know
but
I'm in the
why?
minority because I think it was a game that a lot of people thought that we were going to go in and get killed. I really think they were. I think nobody, granted, we didn't really keep Lamar in check. Like the dude went off against us, but it's frustrating because they are going to keep going back in the press conferences and saying, "Oh, the mistakes are fixable," but they do
Mhm.
seem fixable. I do agree with your point though with Alexander Madison. I think they missed their chance. Honestly, I think they should have traded him to Tennessee when Henry went down, um, and then just rolled with Dalvin and Kene. But um, I wanted to pose a question to both of you, uh, because I know when the game was actually happening, there was a chat going on with him climbing the pocket of, we score that last touchdown. Do you go for two? So, Ali, I haven't heard from you a little bit here, so I'm going to toss it to you first. If you're Mike Zimmer on Sunday, you score that go or that touchdown to potentially tie the game up. Do you just go for two to try and win it all and just not even have to worry about the offense?
I personally would have. I expected them to kick the game-winning field goal anyways. I know that didn't happen. happen in overtime. But yeah, personally, given how the season's already gone, I mean, they were 3-4, so I kind of felt like, let's just let's just go for it. And honestly, made me think about Mike Tice's first year. They were 6-10 at the time. They were 3-10. They went into New Orleans. They won 32-31 on the 2-point conversion. Dante fumbled and ran it into the end zone for the 2-pointer. So I was like, maybe we should try that again. Maybe this could also be a 32-31 win.
Miles, that's a good question. I don't know when they're actually going to fix the mistakes. It sounds very much like Christian Ponder and Leslie Frazier back in the day. We hear that sentence, but we don't actually see it. So, Ryan, how about you on the 2-point conversion? Would you have gone for it?
Um, Probably. Again, it's easy for us to sit here from the ivory tower and say, "Oh yeah, go for it," especially in hindsight. But I think looking back on the game, when it was happening live, I think I said I wanted to go for it. Main reason is because I just didn't think we could stop Lamar. He had been just running all over the field against us in the second half, and I knew that if we could somehow hold them to overtime anyway, that our offense hasn't done anything really at all game. What's to give us confidence that they're going to be able to get back down there and make it and score again? Or if we got put on defense, what's going to get us to stop Lamar? So I probably would have gone for it and just hope for the best in terms of giving them just a minute to beat us instead of an additional 10. However, I'm not going to sit here and fault Zimmer on that one. I mean, you played get an opportunity for overtime, and hopefully you win that coin toss, and you can go down and score. So, but I personally, just the way the game was going, I probably would have gone for it.
You kind of
in Madden, I definitely would have.
I think everybody would have been Madden, and if you don't get it, you just quit and restart. You kind of led me to a different question I had for both of you. And what do you think is the bigger issue at the moment? Is it the offense or the defense? Because one of my biggest gripes about this team is that they never play consistent. Like no squad or no side of the ball is firing at the same time. It's always like defense doing great, offense sputtering out. Offense doing great, defense lets them drive down the field in 2-3 minutes, whatever. So it just doesn't always connect. So Ali, what do you think? Do you think that the issue is more with the offensive side of the ball through, however many games we are? I forget. I think this is week 9 coming up, or is it defense?
Well, like you said, it changes every week, but for the most part, I mean, although I expected the defense to be better, I'd say the offense has been a bigger issue. Kubiak has not been a very good play caller. They've been too conservative. And then you look at both the Dallas and Cleveland game. Yeah, first drive, they looked great. After that, they just completely fell asleep. Now, they both deserve blame, but yeah, I'd say the offense deserves slightly more for how the season's gone between the two.
Is that more an indictment on like Clint Kubiak, or do you think it's the players as well?
I mean, it's a lot of things. And I mean, this season, although I've always been a Zimmer guy, I mean, I think this year overall is more so on him. But if you're talking about the offense, yeah, Kubiak, I'd say it's more so the players. I mean, this team has a talent. I mean, like I said, I mean, the offensive line's been playing better than we expected. And like I said before the show, they've allowed only 10 sacks this year, which is a league low. I mean, I was surprised to see that stat. And then, but yeah, just in the end, Kubiak, he hasn't been very creative. He hasn't been very aggressive. I mean, yeah, again, the first drives, he usually does look pretty aggressive. After that, he just kind of seems to take his foot off the pedal and just becomes more conservative. Yeah, I mean, and this offense, I mean, with the talent they have, they should be even better. They should be scoring more points. And I think, yeah, a lot of it is on the play calling.
Um, Before I ask you that same question, Ryan, Mary put in the comments, why can't we put away these close games? And that got me thinking, do you remember back when Donovan McNabb was our quarterback? I think Leslie Frazier was still here at that time. And there were
Yep.
like I think we opened up that season and we led by like more than 2 scores in at least like 3 or 4 of those games. I can't remember. And every single game, I think we ended up losing, or we just allowed the opposing team to come back. This feels very, very similar in that sense. And
Mhm.
actually could probably lead to the same result, which is somebody looking for a different job at the end of the season. But I do want to hear your opinion if you believe the offense or the defense is the bigger issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, especially early on in the early on in the season, like to blame the defense because our offense put up 31 points at the end of the game, or they put up 28 points, and the defense let up more than that, right? The issue is that what's leading our defense to not playing well. I'm not saying it's just the offense's fault, but when your offense when your defense sustains a long drive, let's say the other opposing team has a I don't know, let's say a 12 play drive that led to a field goal, which is a huge win for a defense, honestly, right? Like if you're on the field for that long and you hold them to a field goal, that's good. And then so they're beat, and then that offense goes on goes in 3-and-out in less than a minute of game time play. That's an issue. Like that's the problem, right? And I feel like more often than not, that's what's happening this year. Is that as you both alluded to, our first drive of the game is always fantastic. We have a well scripted, manicured, set list, so to speak, where we run down the field and we score. And it's an amazing thing to see. You get all excited. And then you get a 3-and-out, and then maybe you get one first down, and then you punt it again, and next thing you know, you're punting more than you're moving the ball, and you punt it as many times as you have first downs, and that's the issue, right? Like, yes, the defense can only do so much when they're on the field 2/3 of the game because you can't control the clock at all. And that's supposed to be Zimmer's MO. That's what he wants from his offense. Yet we can't execute that, whether that is the play calling, whether that's Kirk. And again, like I said, it's not just those two. There's mental mistakes happening all over the field with a plethora of different players. So I would say it's the offense's fault more so than the defense, which is sad, as Ollie had mentioned, because our offense is the more talented side of the ball. We have more talent on that side. We have Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, a revitalized offensive line who's playing relatively well, a top 3-4 paid quarterback in the league, and yet we can't sustain any sort of offense. So I would say that's the bigger issue in my opinion. And that's why we're not closing out games, because we're not being aggressive enough. We're not being able to sustain these drives to give our defense a break. We're not able to put these teams away because we're going 3-and-out instead of being aggressive down the field. Like, I mean, look at what happened. We aggressive one time in the game, Justin Jefferson scores a touchdown. Then what happened after that? I don't know. I wasn't watching it very closely. I rewatched it today while working, but we just weren't doing it. It's frustrating.
Yeah, and also on the first play of the game, they handed the ball off to him. He ran, what was it, 11, 12 yards? First play of the game.
Yeah, that first drive is usually never an issue. Any other takeaways from you two in the game from the Ravens this past week, or should we move ahead here?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say one thing. Yeah, so as far as for that game specifically, I'd say the defense deserved more blame. I mean, granted, there were -4 starters, which is huge, but I mean, and I know Lamar Jackson's a stud, especially in the run game, but I mean, still they gave up 34 points, and was it 500 yards they gave up? And it was,
Yeah.
and not counting that awful horse collar penalty, they allowed, was it 3 4-down conversions? 2 came on the same possession.
Sure, but also, I mean, you held them to what, 10 points at half, and then they end up scoring 34. But why is that? Because we constantly stalled on offense, did literally nothing in the second half on offense except for that final drive to tie the game. That's the only time we had sustainable offense in the second half. If you can sustain, I don't know how many drives we ended up having. I think it was like 5 in the second half. If you can sustain 2 of those or 3 of those,
Yeah.
you likely win that game. But we couldn't do that. And so again, that's just where I come back to, yes, the defense did give up a lot of yards. They did give up a lot of points. They did go against a former MVP, probably top 5, top 4 quarterback in the league. But
Yeah, and
you
I'm sorry.
held
Go ahead.
them, you on defense, you held them down in the first half. You gave that offense an opportunity to gain the lead, which they did. And then then the offense, I mean, again, the defense let it go away, I guess, technically. But the offense did zero to help them, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I was gonna say too. Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, the offense didn't do enough either, and especially the end of the first half when Bynum had the interception. I mean, they had offense had a short field to work with, and they still couldn't get into the end zone. That also really cost them too later.
I
And I
think that
think
was a
that's
turning
some of
point in the game.
I think that, and then combined with the fact that, I mean, whether you agree with it or not, the pass interference at the end that kind of gave the Ravens the ball way down at the end to score right
Mm-hmm.
before half to make it that to 10 points. Um, but that, I mean, this is a completely different subject, kind of about the defense, but still, I think we've seen it in almost every game this season. At the end of the half, they always allow the opposing team to cruise down and put some points on the board, whether it's a touchdown or a field goal. We've seen it in almost every game. And when it's that consistent, it's a trend. And that's not a trend I like to see. So I think that if we can score a touchdown off that Bynum interception, um, and even, I mean, even when you look at overtime, the Barr interception, that's a big one as well. That was a huge missed opportunity, maybe even bigger than the Bynum one, because it's 30 yards and you're kicking a field goal to win. You're on mute, Ryan.
Exactly. You only needed 30 yards and you couldn't get that off of that great play. It's just frustrating. But I will say real quick before we go away from this part of the conversation, let's give some kudos. I mean, all year they've been playing well. And then you go get a kickoff return for a touchdown. You go convert a fake punt for a first down. Like those are good things to see from your special teams, which for years have been just the third leg that's limp for us, right? Like it's of the 3 key parts of the team, that's always our worst part, like by far. And so it's good to see that coming alive a little bit. So congrats to Kene, because I think he did most of that work, and Jordan Berry has been playing well for the most part this year, and Greg Joseph's been a solid kicker for us all year. I mean, I think special teams is probably the best part of our team right now, unfortunately. And so,
Yeah, I agree. Let's forget about last week. We let another one slip away, and we're running out of opportunities to let games slip away. Um, I think this weekend in LA is a winnable game for the Vikings versus the Chargers. I do think they're good, right? I think that it could have potential to be a close game. But the Viking fans travel well, and I think that, what's up, Dave? The Viking fans travel well,
We lost
and
Ali.
I believe. Oh, did we?
Here he
Shoot.
comes.
Well, hopefully he can get back in here. Um, so let's talk about that quick, Ryan. The Chargers offense, it's kind of loaded when you think about the talent that they have, and then as well as people across the offensive side of the board. I'm just pulling it up here to get a clearer look, but they took Rashawn Slater this year. They got Corey Linsley, from the Packers. We all know about Justin Herbert, especially Justin Jefferson. He knows about him. Keenan Allen, that's our boy Miles' guy. Mike Williams has done great. Austin Ekeler is going to be a threat for us to try and figure out how to cover. So a very loaded Chargers offense. How do we stop it, Ryan?
I think really, starting with the quarterback here, Justin Herbert, he's very good. Very high. I think he has got a lot of potential. He's going to be a very good quarterback in this league for a long time. However, he is still young. He still does get confused by coverages, and he's making mistakes this year. And I think you can exploit that. You look at, I think it was a Patriots game this year. They completely shut him out, right? Like they really stifled Justin Herbert, and so I think you can do that. And how you do that is by, again, disguising your coverages. We don't do that enough. I think Miles, it was you, me, and Miles were talking the other day, and we were like one of the teams that least disguise their coverage pre-snap. So we need to get better at that, especially for this game, because I think you can confuse this quarterback. Unfortunately, we don't have a ton of firepower on the defensive line to create that pressure,
Yep.
especially against, our best is going to go against Rashawn Slater, who's proven to be a very good left tackle in this league so far. But it was encouraging to see some fight out of Kenny Willekes.
Yeah.
And then again, you have that internal pressure. I think their most vulnerable spots are their guards, kind of similar to us. So I think you can create some internal pressure there with our defensive tackles, and maybe moving some of our guys inside like Everson and putting Wanham on the outside where he sits. So I think you can definitely create pressure that way. However, what's going to be very difficult is if we can't get some sort of pressure. I have a hard time thinking our corners are going to be able to keep up with these receivers. Keenan Allen's likely, if he's not the best, he's easily top 3, top 4 route runner in the league.
Yep.
And that's very difficult to guard. I don't care which corner it is. That's very difficult to guard when somebody's that good at route running. And then Big Mike, deep threat, big guy, not a ton of speed, but enough to get down the field and win a jump ball. And so when you have that, and then you have Ekeler coming out of the backfield, we're really going to need a big game out of Kendricks. I feel like he's playing well this year, but he's not making the wow plays we're used to seeing him make, except for the one interception he had this year.
I'm
We're
not
used to
sure if
seeing
you
him.
saw. Did you see the clip of this past week where he was like an inch away from like blocking that pass away from Duvernay in the end zone for that touchdown? But it's
Right.
that Lamar
I saw
factor,
that
right? Like
today.
Lamar froze him just a hair, just enough. But I think most games, I think Kendricks probably makes that play.
Hmm.
Exactly. And but that's the thing, is like we're used to seeing him make that play, and it's not happening as much this year. And again, this isn't me bashing him. He's playing very well this year still. It's just that we're used to seeing that extra play here and there that do end up becoming the factor to us winning or losing, right? Dallas game
Yeah.
last year, 2 years ago, right, is a good example. And we're just not seeing that this year. So it's going to be important for him to kind of play up to that level that we expect, to kind of limit Eckler as well.
Yeah. Ollie,
Hmm.
you mentioned before the roll in today, you had some stats that you were looking at. You got any to share going into this game? Anything that we should know about?
Okay, so yeah, the Chargers have allowed 14 sacks. That's tied for seventh best in the league. Their offense
Okay.
is fifth in passing yards per game. Their defense has allowed 25 points a game. Vikings have allowed 23.9 a game.
Okay. Okay. So when I know Ryan, you had some internet issues and now you're back, but Ryan kind of talked about the Chargers offense and how we can kind of stop them. Do you have any thoughts on the Vikings stopping the Chargers offense, or if you want, you can talk about the other side of the ball and flip it to the Vikings offense, hopefully exploiting the Chargers defense a little bit.
I mean, the biggest key is going to be getting to Herbert. I know without Hunter, that's going to be very difficult. And then, like Ryan just mentioned, too, Rashawn Slater is playing pretty well. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's going to, yeah, I mean, they're going to have to get in his face. But I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, I expect the Chargers to score about 35 points. I mean, unfortunately. So, I mean, but yeah, I mean, if they want to have a chance, they got to get to Herbert as much as they can.
Yeah. Um, One thing that I know for sure that I'm looking forward to this weekend is the matchup between Joey Bosa and Brian O'Neill on the right side. I think that O'Neill has. I mean, obviously we know he's a great right tackle, right? He's proven that. He got paid for it, whatever. But these are the games where you really need somebody to step out and take out the opposing team's kind of star player on defense. I feel like we saw it happen a little bit last week. I think Calais Campbell lined up against O'Neal last week, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I feel like he did a pretty good job when we played against Cleveland as well. So here's another matchup this week that I'm kind of looking forward to. Ryan, are there any matchups you're looking forward to this weekend?
Yeah, I think it should be interesting to watch again our offensive line against this defensive line, as you had just mentioned. And I like their secondary. I mean, it's not great in terms of their corners. I think they've been playing Asante Samuel Jr., who's a rookie, but he's playing pretty well this year. And I think they have Michael Davis and Chris Harris back there. And again, I'm
Yep.
not quite sure if all these guys are healthy and whatnot, but so they have a pretty good secondary, and this isn't including their stellar safety play. So it'll be interesting to see how our three receivers can match up against that. And if, again, because the only way we're going to be able to win this game is if we're taking chances and throwing the ball downfield. And unlike last week, this week's going to even be harder to do that because of the fact that they do have a stronger secondary. And again, I don't know stats. I don't know if they're throwing the ball or if they're pass defending better than the Ravens are. I think the Ravens are pretty bottom of the barrel in terms of that this year. But
Yeah, so
you
just
know,
just to let you know quick, the Chargers are 29th overall in run defense, and this is just PFF. This isn't actual like yards or anything like that. And then um, as far as coverage goes, they are the 12th best team. So maybe an
yeah, that's what I
opportunity for
figured.
Zimmer's game plan to kind of come to fruition, pound the rock a little bit.
Absolutely, and I think you can do that. They're without their best linebacker, Kenneth Murray Jr. He's out on injury reserve right now, Oklahoma guy, and so you're missing your best linebacker, but they still got Linval Joseph up the middle. Jerry Tillery, I think, is kind of underwhelmed from the defensive. I think technically he plays D end in that system. Justin Jones out of NC State. They got some good guys there, but again, it's one of those things where I think that if you can, especially get these guys in more of the outside zone run that we typically like to do, I think there's going to be some opportunities there, especially running away from Joey Bosa.
Yeah. Uh, Ali, what what would be your keys to victory? What would be
Hmm?
um, the thing that the Vikings have to do this weekend in order to secure a win and right the ship as we come? Is he gone? Did we lose Ali? Dave's muted as well. So Ryan, we'll shift the convo to you when he comes
We lost him
back.
again. I'm muted because I
Okay.
muted it.
We'll give him the question when he gets back here. But Ryan, what are your keys to victory this weekend?
And Ryan's muted.
Ryan, we are at
Gosh,
technical difficulty central.
yeah. I'm sorry. I try to mute when I'm drinking, so you guys don't have to hear me gulp. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So I think running the rock effectively to create and open and then utilizing that to open up opportunities in the play action game. Again, you don't have to run effectively for play action to work. But it does, the better you are running, I think it does stall them even just, if it's a quarter of a second without running effectively, it's a half second if you are running effectively. So, and that's all you really need in this game, especially with the route runners we have on our squad. So, I think that if you can effectively do that, you're going to be able to hold serve with their offense. And then at that point, it's really just muting the parts. And then it's just at that point, it's just making sure that you come up with one defensive stop. Like hold serve with them, create the one defensive stop. I don't think this is going to be a blowout game either way. I think both teams have issues, but I think their issues are less glaring than ours right now. And what it's really going to come down to, to answer your question, it's going to be coaching. And unfortunately, I trust their first year head coach over our 6-7 year head coach right now.
I have to give. I love our people in the comments. I was listening to most of what you said, but then
You didn't
GMAC
listen to
came in the
anything.
comments and said muting the farts. I know earlier in the show, there was a comment where he talked about is Ali sitting on the toilet now? That's funny. You know what? When you can throw me off like that and make me just want to just laugh while we're trying to talk Vikings, that's what I like to see.
And Ollie's phone died. He's going to try an attempt to get back on via his computer, which we had issues prior to the show with. So you
Okay, well
may
then
end
I'm
up
just gonna
with me for
put
the
you
rest
on
of
the
the show.
spot.
Yeah. And
So
GMAC,
Dave, then.
I wish I made the money that dude made with those books.
uh, Somebody asked Dave if they ever told him that he looked like the guy that wrote the Game of Thrones books. So if you haven't seen the live show, if you're just listening, hop on YouTube and check out Dave because he does kind of look like him. Which, by the way, write the last book. God damn it. Dave, what are your keys to victory this weekend for the Vikings? Can't be the same as Ryan's either. I'm gonna steal that.
First off, not to have 29 people added to the COVID reserve list.
Yeah, we did not talk about that.
Nope. There are
I don't.
29 players plus the coaches, including Mike Zimmer, that were in close contact with Dakota Dozier and have gone into a daily testing protocol. Of course, that started today. We don't know the results till tomorrow. And if anything pops up between now and Sunday, it very well could be that we have a lot more people put on the COVID list than we are expecting. Now, from what I gather, we're talking Dakota Dozier went to the ER last night because he's having a severe time breathing. He is fully vaccinated with COVID. They have him stable. He's still in the hospital as of tonight. Just saw that reported on Twitter. We all send our hopes and prayers that he gets healthy quickly. But that's the first key, is to be as healthy as possible going in there.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the unvaccinated players likely shouldn't be close contacts, right? Like when we think about like Kirk and Cook and
Well, it depends
whoever
if
the
they're
other
working
people
in the
are.
same room or not.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
who
that's true.
knows?
If it's outside, they should be practicing outside. It's been a beautiful week here
We're going
thus
to
far,
try
except for
Ali
maybe today
again.
in Minnesota. Um, Ali, we got you back.
Yeah, I'm still showing muted on my end.
We
By
got
him.
you muted, so hopefully we can get that fixed there. Ryan, do you know if that's kind of a rule, like with the unvaccinated players? Do they have to stay Like they have to stay separated, don't they? I don't know all the protocols, but
No, not necessarily. But again, if you're unvaccinated, you should be trying to social distance as much as possible. But technically, no, they're not separated from the vaccinated players or I should say during practice and things like that, which is where they're likely going to be close contact, most likely. But yeah, I think there's technically supposed to be working out in a different part of the facilities. And yeah, like I said, there's supposed to be social distancing during meetings. But outside of that, I'm not 100% sure.
Ali, did we get your mic fixed? I
Yep.
cannot hear you.
He's still muted at this end. All I can suggest, Ali, is make sure your browser is authorized for your mic. And if that doesn't work, switch browsers. Use a Chromium browser. Generally, Safari would work, but if you use something like Chrome or Brave or something like that, they work too. And check your
Or if you
settings.
just want to unplug your headset, we can roll that way as well. We are getting near the end of the show. I kind of want to just prolong it a little bit here, so Ali can participate in lightning round. So let's kind of talk about what's kind of going on with the Vikings this week. Um,
Yeah.
we heard about the COVID stuff earlier this week. We obviously don't know a lot of the stuff
Yesterday.
surrounding
Today.
Dalvin Cook. Um, did I say yesterday?
No, I said yesterday. is when
Oh, okay.
information about Dakota Dozier came out late last night
Yeah, it was this
or this
morning
morning.
actually, I think.
Yeah.
So we got the Dalvin Cook stuff that came out yesterday, and we kind of got to wait for all the details to come out before we make an opinion on that. But the accusations are pretty graphic, and
On both
it's
sides.
just on both sides, and for a team that's 3-5, and I obviously personal life obviously takes precedent over everything, and I hope everything kind of works out. But um, it's just another unneeded distraction in an already tumultuous season. We started
Yeah.
off rocky, some losses that should have been wins kind of rolled it a little further, and I feel like I don't want to look too far across to the Packers, but I feel like every time they give us something to take advantage of, we then go ahead and just one up them. And so it's been really difficult to. Oh gosh, GMAC, I hope they don't go rolling out there with shirts like that, but who knows? Ryan, you were going to say something before I cut you off there.
No, I just going into the Dalvin thing. I mean, it's a very unfortunate situation for all parties involved. I don't think that, obviously we don't have enough information to formulate an opinion. I see people in the chat are saying it sounds like he's in the right. I know there's people out there that, think he would be in the wrong no matter what the situation is. For me, I just look at it like this. Obviously, you have relationships and you care about people in your life, and just know that like there's resources out there for people who are going through a situation where there's domestic violence or there's emotional distress or and whatnot, and try to utilize those resources the best you can, so you're not put in this situation. Hopefully none of you listening to this show are in a situation like that, or know anyone in a situation like that. Obviously it's got to be a very difficult time to be in, but hopefully those resources are available for everyone, and hopefully they are utilized, because we don't want to see, regardless of the situation, I don't really care. I mean, I do as a fan, but I don't really care, because at the end of the day, this all probably could have been avoided through those resources if they were utilized properly. And and you'd just hate for anyone to be put in that situation, whether he's in the right, he's in the wrong, she's in the right, in the wrong. It doesn't matter. Either way, it got to a point where it's too far. And hopefully people understand that there's alternatives, other ways to go in that situation. So.
Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah, I
good
just
way to
got
put
back
it.
on, and yeah, I was gonna say too much, but yeah, it's just this whole situation is just very unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just kind of talking about how we don't need any other distractions as we try and move forward. But I think, Ryan, you did a good job summing it up there. And there are resources out there. And, you know, for whatever situation you're in, whether it's, some relationship issues, if it's mental health, anything, there are resources out there. And make sure you're taking care of yourself. So on a brighter note, we wanted to wait for you here, Ali. We do a thing on this show. You've probably seen it. It's lightning round, and we just fire off some quick questions. You guys respond, um, and then this will just kind of take us to predictions and close out the show. So, um, Dave, if you're here, you can hop in too. You can come into some of this if you'd like. We have a new thing this week. I know Ryan's bobbing back and forth. We have a new segment in this. So I want to give a shout out to Wayne Wynn. He mentioned it in the chat last week, and I'm implementing it now. It's the write that down section. So I'm going to start with that. So Ali, this is a firm statement, a firm prediction for Sunday that you're willing to write it down, publish it, whatever. What is it? What's happening on Sunday for you to write it down?
I'd say I'm gonna say Chargers win 35-27. I hope I'm wrong, but that's my prediction.
Oh, that's your write that down? All right. He already gave us this prediction. Sweet. All right, Ryan, what is your write that down thing for Sunday?
Vikings blow another lead.
Ooh, okay. So you say
That
blow
doesn't mean we
another lead.
lose. That doesn't mean we lose.
Okay.
That doesn't mean we win. But we're gonna have a lead. We're gonna blow it.
I was hoping for that clarification.
And we'll see what happens. But Vikings
All
blow
right.
another lead will happen.
Mateo in the chat is saying Justin Jefferson gets 5 targets again, while CJ Ham gets more. That's his write that down. Dave, do you have a
CJ
write that down?
Pass, though, the way CJ caught that pass, though, that clutch
That's
pass,
true.
by the way, maybe he needs to get the targets. I don't know.
Dave's a dog now. His dog Merlin's going off. We're gonna
I
skip
think
Dave.
Conklin
Then.
scores a touchdown.
Okay. All right. I like that. Dave, you can do yours later. We're going to go to over and under. I'll start with you, Ali. This is kind of joking. We have to joke at this point through however many games this season. Over or under the offensive drives that end up stalling out. I have it at 4.5.
I'm going to say 5.
All right. He's taking the over. 5 offensive drive. You know
when
what?
you say stall, is that like a 3 and out, or does that just mean no points?
I mean, I was gonna say 3 and out, but I think no points is fair. I think they deserve the no points at this point.
Okay.
Write this down. Kirk will have a butt fumble on Sunday, says Wayne Wynn. A little bit more of a fun one here. I know, we're going to have him on the show. Ryan, over or under the Vikings get 2.5 sacks. Ali mentioned it already today. The Chargers don't give up many sacks.
Yeah, I think he said they've given up 14 or 15 this year. Did you say 2.5?
Yeah.
Gosh, that's a good number. I say we do. I say we get 3. I'm going to go with 3. I'm going to be optimistic. Hey, optimistic Ryan's back. Let's go.
Oh my gosh, who is this man? All right, let's move along to buy sell here. I didn't have a third one for you in over under, Dave, but I'll let you start off the buy sell section. Are you buying or selling Mason Cole at center?
Selling.
Oh,
He did score better than Bradbury, but they did help him quite a bit. And versus where Bradbury didn't. Maybe Bradbury would have seen the coverage in overtime and adjusted it, since Kirk did not, and shifted it. I'm selling Cole.
All right, selling Mason Cole.
There's a take for you.
Ali. Yeah. Ali, are you buying or selling the Vikings defensive line without Hunter? They generated a lot of pressure last week. And even did we lose him?
Yes,
when I was
we
asking
lost
him the question.
But I do
Oh, my
like
goodness.
Joseph Shea's. Linval is licking his lips for Bradbury. I guarantee that's the case. You are correct,
Oh, yeah.
Joseph.
Revenge game week after week.
It
Well,
will
then, Dave, I'll just get.
definitely happen that way.
I'll give you another one here. Are you buying or selling the Vikings defensive line without Daniil Hunter?
Selling or buying or selling them for what? Is my
Well,
question.
yeah, that's fair.
they'll do okay. They won't do as well, obviously, as with Daniil, but they'll do okay. Ryan said over 2.5 sacks. I agree with that. I think they're going to do over. They will be doing better. They are improving as a unit. Even the backups, even Wanham, Armon Watts, etc. They're all getting better, and I do like the direction they are going. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm buying that our defensive line.
I left this one purposely for Ryan because I think I already know his answer. But Ryan, are you buying or selling at the fact that the Vikings are actually still in the playoff hunt? Because I mean, technically they are.
I said
but
I'm being
I want to know.
optimistic. I said I was
Okay.
being optimistic, and then you go throw me a question like this. Come on now. No, they're not.
Where the
in
rubber
hunt.
meets the
I mean,
road, man.
Yeah, I can't be optimistic with this one, unfortunately, fellow Vikings fans. Chargers are a good team. You know, it's a toss-up game for me here. Packers, I would hate to ever say we're going to lose to them, but as long as Aaron Rodgers is there, I think they have a very good chance of beating us both games. That already puts you at 7 losses, wait, 8 losses if we lose just those 3 games, and that doesn't account for the Rams. Steelers aren't great, but they have a pretty good defense. I mean, we got a for sure win
Oh,
probably against the Lions, and that's
I
about it.
I'm
Like I don't see any for sure wins on the rest of the schedule outside the Lions. Everything
I
else is a
am
toss up or
already calling a victory versus the Steelers. Already calling it. Do you remember back when we'd go to face Eli when he was kind of ending his career, and we would just have an interception fest? That is going to happen here. I'm calling it right now. That's going to happen here on Thursday Night Football when the Steelers come to town. Ben
I mean, I hope you're
Roethlisberger
right. I'm just
washed.
I watched them. They're winning games. That's the thing. They're winning games. They beat the Browns. They beat. Granted, Baker at the time had like I think he was playing with his shoulder hanging on by a thread, but he still played. They lost, or the Steelers won 15-10. They squeaked one out this last
Yeah,
week. I forget who they just played, but they squeaked one out this last week. They got a good run game. They got some good receivers and a strong defense. So I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's a loss for sure. But again, it's not a for sure win. There's only one for sure win, and that's the Lions right now that I can think of.
maybe.
And that's tough. It's tough to make. Yeah, and that wasn't even a for sure win when we played them. We had to get a last second field goal. So again, I hope I'm wrong, but at this point, you have the Rams, you have the Packers
Yeah.
twice, you have the Bears who are playing relatively well, and Justin Fields is getting better. I mean, it's a tough road ahead. So I'm gonna be out on that for now. I think that there's other teams that have easier ways to get to that 7th seed than we do. I think the Falcons have a better opportunity than we do. The Bears' schedule is actually easier than ours is to get there. So we'll see. But also,
Dave, I
Hmm.
did. um, do you have a write that down prediction for Sunday?
As to who's going to win,
No, no, no.
or
Just
or
like
just to write that down. Somebody at the stadium will complain how narrow the seats are.
well, I can do that for you. I'll be
That's
there.
when they built that stadium. A long time ago, I studied to be an architect. When they built that stadium, I looked at it and saw the seats going. It's a beautiful building, and the engineering behind it looks fabulous. But I saw them put in the seats and went, God, those look awful narrow and cramped. And sure enough, they're narrow and cramped. And then I complained of why did they pick the color they did for those seats? I think they're black, right, or pretty close to it. And I think they were thinking that they probably put in the order for the seats when they thought Oakland was going to move down there rather than making them blue, which matches both teams that play in there. I thought it was stupid. But anyways, off
Well, I will let you know.
topic.
architecture Dave, artist Dave. I mean, we're getting all sorts of Dave today. I love it.
Oh, I'm a Renaissance man. I like doing a lot of things.
A man
There
of
you go.
many talents. Well, Ali isn't back.
Nah,
I want to get him
he's
in
done.
here.
His phone is dead, dead.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's what it's going to be then. So we'll just roll the predictions here and close it out. We did already get Ali's prediction.
Yes, we did, which
Um,
is wonderful.
so we can mark that one down. Ryan, why don't you go first this week?
Yeah,
What do
since
you
he's
think?
leading everybody.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
are
what's the
records?
scores?
Ryan, you are, if I remember correctly, 6-2.
6-2.
I'm 4-4, and Matt's pulling up the tail end at 3-5. Our guests are 5-3.
Guess
Nice.
our
All right,
five
so
and three,
Ali had
huh?
a yeah. I think they're well. What we had the Cowboys person on here. I forget her name, Sarah or no.
Yeah.
Whatever her
Oh
name was.
yeah, that's true.
And so obviously she's gonna pick her team, and then I think we've had a couple of good picks for us just from the guest point. But yeah, I'll go first. I've been having a hard time about this one, to be honest. I think this is truly a toss up. I think I'm gonna roll with us continuing to falter late in games. Close game, 28-27. Chargers.
Oh. All right.
Wayne's
Dave?
calling for a scoring fest.
I hope it's a score fest. I'm going to be out there. I want it to be just touchdown.
Gosh, if you're out there, I actually hope it's like a 3-2 game.
Defense. Hey, I'd put up with a defensive game, but if I was going to take over the team, or if I was the Wilfs getting ready to hire new people, I'd say I want a coach that demands the team scores 35 points minimum each game. Period. Boom. Done. You're going to win more games than not doing it that way. I think like Ryan, this is going to be a very close game. Both teams play to their competition. It looks like you could run on the Chargers, which means, of course, we'll probably light it up in the passing game, or at least attempt to. Because last week we could pass, and of course we ran. I still can't pick the Vikings. The Chargers are only favored by like 2 at their home field, which tells you that Vegas thinks the Vikings are a little bit of a better team. I'm going close. Some decent scoring during the game. Say maybe 23, 21. No, make it 24-21 and Chargers just to sacrifice myself.
No, you're doing it because you want to catch back up to me. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I forgot your score, Ryan.
Anymore.
What did you say for a score?
I said 28-27. The total money, or not the money line, the over under right now for the game is at 52.5. My 28-27 is at 55. So Dave, I think you're a little under that. I'm a little over that. So what do you got, Matt?
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Well, we all know you're going to pick them to win, so let's see it.
Hey, you don't know that. You
haven't picked against them yet.
Here's why. I'm going out there, and Flip is going out there. Well, Flip's already out there. Eric Thompson's going out there. Luke Braun will be out there. Tons of other fans will be out there. The last time I saw Flip, we pulled out a win over Seattle, so that has to be some good vibes there. Justin Jefferson's still pissed off that Justin Herbert won Rookie of the Year. I don't care what anybody says. He may act like he isn't. He is. This defense, the Chargers defense, is ready for Dalvin Cook to just trample all over him.
And he has some frustrations to get out.
Well, better there than elsewhere. Yeah.
Jeez, oh my Lord, Matt.
And there probably will be more Vikings fans there than Chargers fans. Which will be a good thing. And I want all you guys to take a picture together, and then a bunch of you to jump on the post game.
Yeah, well, I'll try to do both. I don't know if I'll be coherent enough to do the last part, but 34-17.
They charge like $2,200 per beer, so you can't drink that much.
Can drink before the game, though. 34-17 is what I'm going with. Vikings win. It's not close. Wow. And then we come home to face the Green Bay Packers, which I might have blown that a little bit. I had tried to get Doogie on for next week, and I think he might commit, but I also might get a Packer expert as well, so maybe we'll join them together. We'll see.
We can have 4.
Yeah.
We can. Yeah, we can do that. So that's all I got for tonight. We did fit it in. You have us
winning by 17 points?
It's a blowout, like Seattle.
That is the biggest homer shit I've ever seen.
Hey, it could happen. This
Hey,
team
you know what,
has
Joe?
the talent.
I love you're the optimistic one here because I don't want to force myself to be, and I like that you are being that for us. And this isn't fake. To anyone who's listening or watching this, Matt's not being fake. When we get together for drinks and whatnot offline here, he's very optimistic, like the most optimistic of all of us. And I need that in my life because I don't like being realistic. I like living in this fantasy land. I just can't do it this year. It's hurt me too
It's
much,
not.
so I just
It's
can't
not
do it
fun
anymore.
to think. It's not fun to think it's not going to be a victory, but
Right.
you just.
And
I've learned that.
every week I'm sitting here. Every week I sit here and I'm watching the game, and I'm like, I got it wrong. I finally got it wrong. I can start believing again until the second half rolls around and Kirk goes into his shell. And then I'm like, oh, that's why I picked them to lose. Okay.
I think after so many years of watching this team, I mean, Dave, hell, you know even more, Mary, you as well. You just have to laugh at it at some point, right? You have to laugh at yourself, and I know what we are, absolutely, 100%. And are we gonna win this week? Yes, we will. That's because that's what I want to happen. But if we lose on Sunday, I'm still gonna have a good time, and my life still keeps moving on. So
We're going to win and start the roll.
let's do
They'll
it.
win this week, next week, and get going on to like a 6 or 7 game win streak.
Well,
Hey,
my wife and
I hope so.
first Packers game we're ever going to live this Packers game this year.
Oh.
So hopefully that's some good juju. We have a wedding the night before. We're gonna stay in a hotel. We're gonna we're gonna probably get a little rowdy the night before, rowdy the morning of, and hopefully we can really cheer on because even though I'm realistic, I don't think I could ever pick
Douglas.
up a Packers to beat us. I don't think the Packers can beat us.
Hey, we've always given them a hard time.
I don't think I can. I mean, unless they completely fall flat on their face this weekend, I don't think I can pick the Packers to beat us. I don't have it in my heart to do that. So.
Well, you have a whole week to think on it. And Miles, if you're
And
still
Joseph,
on, listening to the show,
you're right. Joseph, sorry, you're right, Joseph. I do have Saturdays to enjoy. Boomer.
Oh gosh, Miles, if you're listening, we have a wedding to crash, I guess, with Ryan and his wife. With that being said, it was a fun show. We got everything in that I wanted to. Unfortunately, Ali's internet could not keep up with us tonight, so we will have to get him back on the show. But he did provide some great takes and some great content. So if you are on Twitter, you can follow him out there. I don't know his username offhand, but
it is at
we'll probably be in the show notes.
Siddiqui 15.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. So if you're listening, go follow him. He's a great dude. We don't have a show tomorrow night, but Dave is back here on Saturday.
Yep.
2 old bloggers. And then Sunday, CTP final score. Dave will be producing. Hopefully Jason will be back. And then at least myself or Flip or both will join from SoFi Stadium out in Los Angeles, California, moments after a Vikings victory.
Should be a good signal. They supposedly have 5G there.
We'll find out, man. But with that being said, everybody, thank you, and we will see you next week at 8 p.m. Skol Vikes.
Skol! Thank you for watching or listening. As always, if you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. And if you're listening to the podcast, please rate us on your favorite aggregator. Skol, everybody.